You can only tell your go-getter that you're my go-getter so many times before they're just completely burned out. It depends on the MOS because of the way, in my day, pros and cons marks work, and then it transitioned into JPEG markings, where it's like, it just depends on the score of the MOS, right? So it's like you can have a Lance Corporal that is your go-getter doing all these right things, and then you see, turd over here from a different section, doing a different job that everybody knows is a turd, and they just get promoted to corporal because their score for their job is so low. And and I can tell you, I don't have the answer on how to fix that. But what I can say is that can be detrimental to somebody who is the go-getter from a different job. I'm working my ass off over here, and you're telling me this person that only passed a PFT because they got a hookup and doesn't know shit about their job just got promoted to corporal, and they can tell me what to do? Nah, that can definitely be hard. So how I kind of handled the situation is I tried to build my work section like a family, and maybe this works for me because working in the S1, I had a small work section, right? I don't have a whole platoon or anything like that. I got a handful of Marines over there, and they were able to hear from me, from my mouth, and they could see with their own eyes that I would do what I said. But if you are meritorious material, you will be on a meritorious board. Simple as that. If somebody doesn't agree, that is a conversation that I'm going to have, but the CO will see your package. That's the way I was. And again, I'm admin, so I understood Marine Corps orders and MAR admins and all of that stuff, maybe to a higher extent than some other staff NCOs. So I was able to kind of leverage that because I understood that process. Nobody was going to tell me no if I want to nominate one of my Marines to become a meritorious corporal or a meritorious sergeant. That's the way I felt. The only person who was going to tell me no was the senior member of the board. That's the way I felt, right? Or if the CO obviously not recommended it. But if the package made it to the CO's desk, the CO was not going to not recommend it because it's going to go through the sergeant major and all of that stuff. And I was willing to go to bat with the sergeant major and the first sergeants or whomever. But to get back into it, I let my Marines know, hey, yeah, I'm going to lean on you. You might get tired of this, but I'm also telling you, your promotion is in your hands. Because if you tell me that you want to be a meritorious corporal or a meritorious sergeant, I'm going to treat you as such. If you say you don't, that's fine. I will treat you just as the average Marine that you want to be. But if you want to be above, trust me, I know what those standards take. Been there, done that. I will push you as such, and I will be the first one in your corner pushing that stuff up to make sure it gets approved and you can compete against the best in the squadron. And that's the way that I felt. And honestly, I had Marines that loved it. They loved it. And I had Marines that were straight up like, nah, I don't want that. I don't want that at all. But I was able to, because I had the smaller work section, whether they wanted to be that meritorious Marine or they wanted to be the very average Marine that they were, I was still able to get the production that I needed out of them because of the way that the office just kind of operated. Also on that is that even the meritorious Marines that I had under my charge, they would oftentimes get tired of some of the stuff that they were doing. Like, yeah, I'm so good in this, but I don't know anything about that yet. And, I would have to, go at that point, have to go through the explanation stage of kind of telling them like, I get it. You don't know everything in the office yet. I can't switch it up for this reason or for that reason at this moment. What you're doing is too important. I can't rely at this moment on the average Marine because you're performing above average. And that can also be frustrating. Like the Marine wants to move forward and have a well-versed, notion of how the whole office or work section operates. But what you're doing is too important. I can't move you from that. And so that's a whole nother conversation that you need to have. But the way that I looked at it in my office, the most important things were legal, defense travel system, and the government travel charge card. If one of those things goes array, the CO is coming into my office. I don't like the CO coming into my office. So you might think that you only know these 3 things about this office, but I can also tell you from my experience, if you only know those 3 things, the rest is very teachable and you will strive anywhere else you go. There's a reason you're in the billet that I have you in, and I'm going to try to cross train you and all of those things. But essentially, like, we have a daily mission, we have an overall mission, and my goal here is to meet both of those.